Hello and welcome back to my channel. I hope you can hear me okay. It's pretty noisy down the farm today with a factory next door. This is my commercial market garden for those who are new to the channel. I've just been picking the last sort of fifth of a bed of a lettuce. That I'm flipping that bed over. I need about 6 or 7 lettuce bags for some deliveries that I've got today. But Friday is pretty much my slow moving day. I don't do too much other than work on the farm on a Friday. I'm going to show you what I'm going to do with that bed now. It's a bed that I'm having persistent weed pressure in, so I'm going to do something a little bit different. Let me go and show you. Let me show you what I've done. First, let me explain it. Effectively, I'm going to replace that, the beds that are really heavily, or I've got heavy weed pressure with long-term crops. And I've cut some weed membrane to the size of the beds, which are 15 metres long and 75 centimetres wide for those who are new to my channel, which is a standard market garden sort of size bed, very popular in Canada and the USA. Anyway, I've covered it with weed membrane all the way along. I'll show you that now. And I'm going to grow some long-term crops through that plastic. Let me pick up the camera and see if I can show you. So, I hope you didn't feel too sick there. So I've covered the whole bed. You can tell that these 3 beds here are getting particularly weedy. So these 3 beds I'm going to cover in weed membrane when the crops come out and grow through the plastic. Remulch the paths and give myself an opportunity to have some long-term crops in there to burn down all the weed pressure underneath, and I'll only have to weed in between in the little holes that I put in the floor, and maybe a little bit down the edges depending on how well I can mulch it. But yeah, so if you carry on following my channels, you'll see slowly as crops come out. So the onions are nearly all out of this bed here. That will be replaced again with weed membrane. For the time being it will stay like this, and then I'll take it off, burn the holes through, put it back on, and yeah, plant straight through it. You'll have just seen that I'm pre-watering that bed that I've been meaning to plant for, well, I've been talking about it all week basically. It's the kale that we took out at the beginning of the week, Serbian kale. I've got a tray of Serbian kale with me. Ground's quite dry, especially if you'll be planting plants that are quite small, probably only a few inches high. So I'm giving the bed a good soak. Whilst that bed is getting a soak, I'm going to go and pick some garlic scapes and crack on with that, and then I'll come back to you when I start planting out this bed behind me that's just got a few spring onions left in it. I love harvesting garlic scapes. They're so easy. That took me about 2 minutes, a whole tray of them. You don't have to bend down very far. The garlic plants are quite tall this time of year. You just snap them off and they smell amazing. Oh, good camera work, and they smell amazing. I've got to get better at this. Sorry guys. The next thing I want to do is have a look how my potatoes are getting on. So if you've been watching the vlog from the beginning, I sound like a broken record. I'm in my sort of like little wash area, compost bins behind me. I'm going to grab some of the potatoes that I did in buckets. I've got about 40 buckets. In fact, let me grab and go and get one and show you. The buckets, got some potatoes. They haven't done very well at all, sort of like greens wise. So I'm just going to open, I've got about 40 of them. I can't remember if I said that or not, but 40 of these buckets, as well as 2 huge patches in the floor. So I just want to have a look at them, see if there's any potatoes growing in them. They're certainly past the time that they should be harvested, but by the weight of this, it's very dry. I've let it get very dry and there's no weight to it whatsoever, so I'm not holding out too much hope for too many potatoes in here. But as I said, they're well past the harvest. They're international kidneys, which is Jersey Royals. Been in these buckets for way longer than the 15 weeks that they're meant to, so let's just get on with it and have a look and see how they're getting on. I've just done the first bucket and I'm almost embarrassed to show you. Effectively, it's failed. They've absolutely failed. I don't know if I tried them too early, or I've never tried international kidney in buckets before. I've always done Charlotte, and Charlotte's been fantastic. Let me show you anyway, rather than just talking you and making excuses. That is it from one bucket. A few measly potatoes. Now these buckets were, hold on, let me get back on camera. These buckets last season with just one seed potato in were producing between 2 and 3 kilos worth of potatoes. Obviously we had a much hotter early season last year. I don't know whether it's the soil I used in the buckets or what, but they've absolutely failed this year. I'm even going to pop up a video of my potato reveal last year from these very same buckets, because you're not going to believe me otherwise, and you're going to think I'm an absolute nutter to think that you can get decent amounts of potatoes from these small buckets, but you can. So let me chuck up a video now. What I've got to hope for is that the potatoes that are in the ground, which is these here behind me, let me spin round. I've got 2 patches, one like this, one over the far end, that look like this. I'm obviously going to leave these a lot longer, considering how the ones in the buckets have got on. And yeah, I'm going to have to hope that these are going to produce a decent amount of potatoes for me this year. Otherwise it will be a failed potato year on this particular site. Now I've got some buckets at home which are Charlotte's, which I've been doing exactly the same way as I did last time or last season as a backup, so not all is not lost. And obviously I've got these here. Now I'm tempted to dig up one of these plants to see if they're any better, but I probably won't. Anyway, I'll always show you my fails as well as my successes, and that was an epic fail. Okay, so I went back on my word and did decide to dig up one of the plants from the little patch over there. So I'm starting to panic about how the potatoes are getting on. Now these went in about 6 or 7 weeks after the ones in buckets, and although there's not a great yield at the moment, there's a lot more promise. So I grabbed a few small ones, 5 small ones there that fell off of the plant, and these are a no dig potato. Obviously I just popped the seed potato in, which I've taken out because it was all sloppy, and chucked on some mulch on top. But there's a few nice potatoes here, albeit very small at this stage because these have got a few weeks left on them. A few more there, a few really itty bitty little ones like that. Yeah, and a whole lot of clay soil, but let me chuck that in the compost. One sec. There we go. So yeah, there is a lot more promise. So I'm going to chuck these in with the others coming from those potatoes in the ground that aren't up to 15 weeks yet. They've probably got about 2 or 3 weeks left, so I'm going to bung those, a load of water on those, maybe a little bit of feed, and leave them in the ground for at least another 5-6 weeks, to let those, what would be 7 or 8, 9 small potatoes, get into nice big larger ones. And potatoes on this site for this season is not all lost, but with my second earlies and main crop, I'm going to have to really start pushing feed onto those, because as you can tell by the soil, there's nowhere near as big a crop than what I need for this season. So I'm really going to have to try and make do and really get the best out of what's in the ground now. I might even put some more in the ground now to protect them as we come out of summer for Christmas potatoes, but we'll wait and see. That was part of the plan, but starts in a couple of weeks time. But for future seasons, I'm really going to have to think about potatoes. They're not a massive cash crop for me. They're great to have in the veg boxes as a bulk out product, but they're not a massive cash crop for me. They are quite cheap, although they are organic. You know, there's not a huge profit margin in them with buying them from seed potatoes and growing them from that. In contrast to the garlic that I've been harvesting this week, they're sort of either ends of the spectrum, with the scapes that we saw earlier being a real good cash crop, and then the actual garlic bulbs themselves, which I've started to harvest. I'll grab you one now behind me. Not the hugest bulbs ever, but brilliant for green garlic nonetheless. So yeah, I'll be harvesting some more of those tomorrow, the rest of that bed, so come and join me on tomorrow's vlog. I'll show you the bed of kale that I've planted out this afternoon, and the garlic that I've started harvesting. I'll tell you what, I harvested a few yesterday. I'll pop some pictures up from Instagram now just to show you, but we'll be doing the rest of the bed, so you'll be able to see them coming out the ground and the clean-up process and everything like that comes with it. Plus we'll be harvesting a much higher bulk and quantity. I did about 50 yesterday, and I plan to do the rest of the bed, which is about 200-300 more tomorrow. So come and join me if you fancy it. If not, thanks for watching the vlog, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.